Welcome to All Call with Task Force 20, veteran opinions on veteran topics for the community, family, and friends. Now let's discuss. Howdy, howdy.
Oh.
Welcome to episode 21. It's actually really hard to believe we're on 21 episodes of this nonsense.
Fun with maths.
I'm Jason. You all know me. We've got Matt. We've got Pat. We've got Dave. We've got Tiffany. Those are your Task Force 20 team members. And with us today, we have a special guest. I'm going to let Tiffany introduce her.
This is my dear friend, Stephanie Kuhlman. She was the recipient of our Organization of the Year award, and she and I met, I would say, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
I think 3 years at the golf outing.
Yeah, a handful of years ago, we met at Folds of
Year
Honor
and a
event.
half, 3. Yeah.
We've run in the same circles.
Right.
And I'm so happy you're here.
Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks for having me.
Well, yeah, thanks for being
Thank you
here.
very much. We really appreciate it. Welcome
Yeah.
to our professional setup we got going on.
I love it. I love it. Very laid back.
Did she get the charcuterie board? That's all I wanted to know.
What?
Wait, what?
Where is that?
What are you...
The charcuterie board.
Oh,
You
sorry.
didn't have one for her?
Nope,
What's
no,
going on,
nope,
guys?
no. We got bottled water.
I
That's
think
the best
that's
I can
where we
do.
dropped the ball. We started out with what, makers and beer, and now we've gone
Right.
downhill.
Yeah.
Now we're all like healthy with our waters.
Well, if I didn't have to work today and work in the morning, then I would be drinking and would welcome others to join me.
Yeah, so Pat, I thought, like we discussed last time, that you were supposed to bring the charcuterie board.
Now, if Pat brings
I
charcuterie
had
board,
to
I can't even say it.
Evidently, I think Dave's dogs got into it.
That's
No,
right.
That's
no
possible.
crayons. No crayons on the board.
Transportation and delivery, so I don't know what happened to it.
This is already getting out of hand.
Yeah, we were already derailed. Yeah.
Maybe we
So,
should.
um,
Focus, man, focus.
right.
So, Stephanie, your organization, it's Home of the Brave, correct?
Correct. Yes, that was
Give me
the.
a chance to give us a little, our listeners, a good kind of overview of your organization.
Absolutely. It actually wasn't an organization per se, and it was an event that we did this year to support Folds of Honor. So about 3-4 years ago, my husband Doug and I got involved with Folds of Honor and started playing in their golf outings. That's where I met Tiffany. We have 2 active duty sons, so we love to support anything military. But we started playing in this golf outing at Inverness and just thought it was incredible. Thought the people that we met there were incredible. That year Tiffany was the main speaker, and we loved her. Didn't love your story. I hate your story. But we loved Tiffany and how she told it. And
Your story is awful.
it is. It's a
It's
horrible
sad.
story.
You tell it great.
And just, the way she let us kind of into her world and shared with us what that was like. Again, I have 2 sons that are active duty. We haven't experienced what Tiffany's experienced. I would say we've experienced a lot that I also hate, but nothing
Right.
on the level that Tiffany's experienced, or certainly some of the people that we met the other night at Task Force 20. So, Folds of Honor typically raises funds for the scholarships that they provide through golf outings. And well, we thought that was kind of interesting. It's wonderful. Lieutenant Dan Rooney, or Colonel, is he Colonel? Lieutenant?
Lieutenant Colonel.
He's Lieutenant Colonel.
Okay.
Now,
You're halfway there.
He's a fly boy.
But
So
he was also a golf pro, so it was his idea to raise money through golf outings, which is amazing. But I mean, that's a very small segment of our population that can afford to belong to a private country club and take part in those events. So,
not it.
so Doug and I had previously done a charity home build for the Red Cross years ago. And ironically, Doug's business partner, his developer partner, had reached out to the Tunnels of Towers, and they turned him down this year.
Wow.
He got a letter back saying, yeah, we're good, we don't really need that. And I, knowing Folds of Honor, I said, well, why don't we do it for Folds of Honor? So we put together a home build, and it's literally, I could throw a stone from where we're sitting today. It's across, the street over here in Waterville. It's one of my husband's subdivisions. And in less than a year, we put this home build together, and our media people called it, I came up with the name, the Home of the Brave, and I couldn't think of anything more fitting. So it was just an incredible 10 months. We turned it over at this year's golf outing, which is always in June.
Right.
And through those 10 months, we just met so many amazing people and heard so many incredible stories, including one very similar to what you do at Task Force 20. So to be honored by your group was really special because a service member committing suicide was a big story that came out of our home build, and so it was really an honor to be part of your group a couple Fridays ago. So thank you for that.
No, absolutely. I
well
know
deserved.
when we first heard about it months ago, and we found out it was going to be basically in our backyard. You know, we wanted to be a part of it in some way. So we were thankful that we were able to. I mean, we donated the flag. Wasn't a huge thing, but it meant a lot to us.
Yeah, that flag means a lot. It means a lot to us.
It
so,
is
yeah,
a huge
right.
thing as a, someone who's been with Folds of Honor for the last decade, as a speaker and also as a recipient and as a Gold Star. The flag is a huge piece. Obviously, the whole home build,
Yeah.
Right.
but when it comes to the things that stand out, it's the people who made it happen, the people who are passionate about it, and the flag, which is even more special because now I'm a part of Task Force 20. So.
Yeah, and I need to reiterate how special that flag was, and I wish I had met all of you before the day we actually put the flag up. That was a really special day. The 180th came out. They had members there. The woman from the 180th sang. All the first responders were lined up in the street. The kids from the Anthony Williams schools came and planted flowers around the flagpole. And then we had a ceremony. We sang this, we said the Pledge of Allegiance, and then the lady from the 180th sang the anthem. Sorry. And we raised that flag, and there wasn't a dry eye on the street. I mean, there were parents there of the children, so it was powerful. And the news covered that, and the family that bought the house, their son is active duty military, and they fly that flag proudly now. So
Good.
it is
awesome.
a very special flag.
Perfect.
That's very cool.
What branch is your son's in? Here.
My oldest son was Marine for 11 years and is now here at the 180th. He's a master sergeant. He was attached to a fighter squadron.
That's like, wait a
Marines.
second.
Are you at the 180th?
Yeah.
Where's he
Okay.
work?
He's egress.
No way.
Yeah, he's a mechanic.
Same last name?
Joel Figmaker. Yeah.
Is he one of your troops?
Copy. I know Joel very well. Joel's a good guy.
He's a great
I worked
guy.
with him for a while. I
Yeah.
did not know this,
Yeah,
that was your
so
son.
that
Very
is
cool.
my son. He was the first one, and he was the kid that went to high school, went to college for a short amount of time, invited me to breakfast one day, and slid his enlistment papers across the table at Star Diner, where I promptly burst into tears, and that's how he told me he was enlisting in the Marines. And then my younger son, Christopher Harris, he's a naval aviator, currently based out in Whidbey Island, Washington. So he flies the P-8.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm one of the maintenance supervisors there, so I know Joel very well.
Are you? Wonderful.
So with that being said, we're gonna need a very embarrassing story that Matt can go and hold over his
No,
head.
we're not. No.
Have you seen my son? He's
No.
like 6'4", and no, we're not telling embarrassing stories.
I'd like to see Pat try. Or Matt try. I'm sorry.
Well,
Right.
looping back to the build. So, can you explain to the listeners? Everything was donated in kind, or just donated. There was no cost.
There was
for the
no
build?
cost, and we had to do this a little bit differently. You know, Folds is a very small organization, and they don't have a big, powerful machine behind them. So we built the home, and we had to sell it traditionally. We didn't sell tickets or things like
Right.
that. That's something that's on our radar to try and figure
Okay.
out how to do.
So kind of like the St. Jude's home. how they-
Exactly, and so St. Jude's, Mike White, who does that one, he has perfected that. But St. Jude's is the huge machine behind him that does the ticket sales and keeps track of everything, keeps everything legal.
Right.
So we're not there yet. So my husband is a home builder. It was his lot that we built the home on, and we went to all of his subs and said, are you in? And I mean, there wasn't anybody that even had to think twice about it. So every single thing in the home, around the home, was donated, and we were able, not only that, but we had cash donations from members of the community, including my own company that I work for, the Harmon Group. came in with $25,000 to cover
Wow.
things that couldn't be donated, like building permits and
Right.
things like
Right.
that. So by the end of the day, by the end of the 10 months, we put the house on the market, and we were able to sell it for $10,000 over ask. And when everything was said and done and paid for, we were able to donate about $525,000
Wow.
to Folds. And then again, you know, we received your wonderful gift, and then gifts kept coming in
Right.
as it you know, hit social media and things like that. So it's when we're all said and done, it's about over $750,000 that came in.
That's
And
amazing.
Ezekiel do another one?
Yes, we want to. We actually had a Folds board meeting on Friday, and we went to them and said, help us figure out how to make this like St. Jude's, where, you know, we have a machine behind us that can help us. One of the other tough things is it would be tough for all of our subs to do this every year
Right.
free of charge.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, St. Jude's is able to make $2 million in ticket sales. So I think that helps buffer any
Oh,
of
yeah.
the smaller subs that
Yeah, absolutely.
can't donate everything.
Right.
And then Owens Corning came in and just donated a boatload of stuff, and Erie Home saw it on social media and said, we want to give you a metal roof. We would have never, that's a $150,000 roof on that house.
Wow.
And they said, but we want to do this. And ironically, it's really interesting. Folds of Honor, you know, the story behind that is there's 13 folds in the flag.
Right.
Erie Homes employs 13% of their labor is
Oh, nice.
military
Wow.
Nice.
connected.
Pretty cool.
So it was just like a fun little statistic that came out of it.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, that's some of the things I've learned in the past few years in doing this, that, you know, obviously the mission is important when you're asking, but it's also who's asking. If the person asking is conveying their belief and their trust and their passion for the mission, that conveys over into others. So obviously you guys did, you know, very well in raising, or not raising, but having all these things donated by getting all these different companies to be willing to donate, to buy into your vision and your belief in what you were doing. So that's a testament to you and Doug. And
To your authenticity.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it starts out Doug being able to kind of hold some of his contractors hostage. You know, he
Right.
builds a lot of homes, so that is a benefit. And then Tiffany was at our groundbreaking, and she spoke, and wow, that was just powerful and impactful, and more people came on. And then I think, as I alluded to, 2 months into the project, one of our competitors came to us and had heard our story and said, he came up to us with tears in his eyes, and he said, I want to help with your house. Jeremy Red Fox and his wife Sarah, who are Red Fox Custom Homes, he shared with us at a Christmas party, an HBA Christmas party last December, that his brother was military, had served 4 tours of duty, and last year took his own life here in Oregon. After just really struggling with PTSD and not figuring out how to get over that hurdle.
Right.
So the news covered that story heavily, and after that, then really people came out of the woodwork to just say, wow, how do we get involved? We want to help, especially over social media, and then it really, really took off.
Right. And I don't want to give away the playbook on how to win this award by any means, but you know, our organization, you know, on the plank classes, you know, it's train, compete, survive together, and you see together that's the prominent, you know, piece to what we do. And you guys mastered it with this project. And when we were going over everything, we couldn't think of a better recipient, because that you
really
did
brought the
exactly
community
what.
together. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and for me, it goes back to, it's very personal for me because I was involved from the beginning, but also I've been in the game as a gold star for 18 years, and so I've seen the best of the best and I've seen the worst of the worst, and I can say 100%, and I'm not just saying this, you and Doug are the best of the best, and you're genuine, you're authentic, you really care. It's not for you. You really truly were doing it because you wanted to support the mission of.
We actually started it as a way to just honor our sons. We see the sacrifices, and again, nowhere near the sacrifice you've made, but we see the sacrifices our 2 boys make, and they're away for long periods of time. Both of them have been deployed numerous times, and my older son Joel has a family. He has a wife and 3 little kids now,
Just
and
another little one, 'cause he's still
Yeah.
off, right?
no, he actually
Did
came
he
back
come back
last week.
last
Yeah, I
week?
think he's really glad to be back.
Yeah.
The military gives them 12 weeks of paternity leave, and
That's
that's
nice.
a long time.
Yeah.
But
I know.
gone for birthdays,
They can
go
holidays,
14 days.
All the first walks, the first Halloweens, so this was just our way of, giving tribute to our boys who we're so proud of, and it just became so much more for us. And, it's funny, I think I alluded to it in my speech. Everybody's telling us thank you, but oh my God, it's kind of selfish to say we got so much more out of it than we put into it.
Mhm.
And I just think that anybody that tries to do something on this level will realize that you really do get more out of it yourself
Absolutely.
than you put into it. And we met the most amazing people through this process, and found more military families that we could connect with, and stories that we had never heard. And it's Toledo, Ohio, Northwest Ohio is a really cool place to be. There's a lot of really military connected families here that are really wonderful.
Everybody was trying to get out of Northwest Ohio.
Yeah, we all came right back.
All right, and here we are.
Right.
We
I
talk-
had not for a couple of years.
Yeah, we talked smack about it, but look where
Yeah.
we ended up. Yep.
Yeah, speaking of which, drove by old Shaddy Natty
Oh.
yesterday,
You know,
and they tore down the sign.
I don't think they tore anything down. I think time and weather tore down the sign.
Well, it makes me mad because I was gonna get the tattoo,
Oh.
and now I don't remember what it looks like.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
But you spoke about your speech at the banquet. So one of the things I was thinking about leading up to this was, before this, you didn't know really anything about us. We like to consider ourselves, the Northwest Ohio veteran community's best kept secret.
Your friendly neighborhood veteran organization.
Yeah, and Tiffany, I'm assuming you were the one to call her and let her know, like, hey, you're getting an award. And by the way, if anybody ever tells you that you don't have the attitude of an award winner, you can now say everything I do is the attitude of an award winner, because I have in fact won an award.
I'm sure she's won some others. But.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. But not knowing, going from that first phone call, and you're like, why am I winning an award from these people I've never even heard of? To, then the banquet and seeing what we're about and everything. Like, I guess, how did your perception of us and looking into us online and everything else kind of change to the point to where you were willing to come here today?
Well, I never like to go anything, whether it's business or whatever it is, into anything without knowing what I'm doing. Tiffany called and said, you've been nominated, you were selected, and so immediately I get online and I'm trying to figure out what it is exactly that you guys do. And then I walk in that night, and there's all of my friends from RE/MAX. I'm in commercial real estate, but I work closely with all the residential people. And so there's my friends at RE/MAX sitting there, and there's my friends at Danbury sitting there. And I'm like, wow, there's a lot of people I know here. I never knew the connection. And so we went over and we talked to Ed, and I made my way around. I was kind of looking at the auction items, and got to the end of it, and I saw your display, and boy, that was really powerful to see your new display.
The memorial?
The memorial. And spend some time over in that corner, kind of reading about what you guys do, and the people that are affected, and the stories that came out of it. And I don't think till I got to that corner of the room that I truly knew that much about you guys, and I had to step away. That corner was a powerful corner.
I've had several people tell me, like, they would go over and they would, start reading the statistics, and it was like almost too much for them to handle.
Yeah.
Nikki, being one of them, Christian's Corner, she said she couldn't. She had to walk away from it. And she didn't walk back over.
Yeah, I knew better. I didn't even start reading it.
Yeah.
I knew a lot of the stuff that was going to go on there, but not that I wasn't in the right headspace to
Right.
do that, tackle that night.
Yeah, and I was actually glad I saw that before the program started, because I was totally in a different frame of mind after that.
Right.
And listening to the awards and watching those people and all of them get their awards and being wrapped in those quilts, that was really neat. I don't know if those people understood how neat that was, but all of us are sitting back watching
Right.
people get wrapped in these quilts.
Yeah, it's pretty cool
and
their
just-
story and how the quilts of valor and.
But what a
they do
visual.
yeah,
I
right.
mean, the physical quilt being wrapped around, but the love and the honor being wrapped around these people and hearing their stories, and it's like, oh, wow, that was
Yeah.
really cool. So, yeah.
This month's podcast is sponsored by Lauren Gedman with Remax Preferred Associates. Give Lauren a call at 419-322-9280 with all of your real estate questions.
Yeah, and I'm still learning. You know, I got on your website over the weekend when Tiffany told me you were going to be doing this, and just kind of dug into your story. And I'm so glad you guys are here doing this. I can't even imagine the need.
Unfortunately, there is still a need.
Yeah.
You know, in the nonprofit world, the goal is to put yourself out of business, and hopefully someday there's nothing left for us to do.
Yeah, some days it really, really feels like we're battling it up, like it's just like it's an uphill battle. And you know, some of the people that are represented in that memorial, who've been really, really close friends of the org, that we've lost in the last couple of years. It just, I mean, it's discouraging but encouraging at the same time, because it makes you, like, you get discouraged, but then it makes you, kind of refocus and want to keep going and trying to figure out how can we make more of a difference. You know what I mean? How can we do more? So yeah, I mean, it's difficult. It's a difficult arena that we've kind of entered into, but we think that the cause is just. So onward we fight.
And as far as the quilts go, Matt, back me on this. When you're in the moment, it's almost kind of like, you've got like 200 plus people looking at you and they're wrapping the blanket. I felt almost a little awkward, but then listening to everybody else's, it was like, the first thing that came to my mind is like, we've done some serious shit as a group. Like,
Well, some of it is you're in the moment, so you're reflecting on just your piece, and it's like the same thing when people thank you for your service. It sometimes is uncomfortable. We've talked about that before, but then, if you're in the audience or even being up there, I was listening to everyone else who I knew everything about everybody, but I was soaking up their moment as well.
Right.
I'm like okay, I'm just listening, and that part was neat and stuff. But being in the moment, you're just always kind of like, okay.
Yeah, my boys say that, and I've never understood it. Neither of them chose to wear their military outfits or uniforms for their weddings, which I was really hoping, they would.
Right.
Mom's always, those pictures would have been great.
Right,
But that's what they say. We don't want that to be the spotlight right now. That's not just who we are. But yet, those of us civilians that are out there are just so incredibly proud of all of you and what you do, and in a way amazed by what you do. So that, to watch you guys get wrapped up in those blankets, for lack of a better word, and then to hear all the things that you had done to get that, and to see the women that had created those quilts, they were really proud to be there and do that. That was their contribution. We had a woman make 2 quilts for our Folds of Honor home. She donated 2 quilts that we had laying over the beds when it was staged.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I knew how proud she was, and I could see those women there as you guys were being wrapped up in those quilts. They were just so proud that they could do that for you.
Yeah, I had several people there that I've known for years, and I don't think any of us really talk about like our service accomplishments or anything that a lot of it. I had several people come up to me afterwards and I didn't realize you had done all of that and you done some of this stuff. And I don't really talk about it. So I mean that's who I was. It's not who I am. So I don't know if you guys had similar. Well, you didn't get red.
Right.
So.
Well, I got mine on a rainy day in White House when the only person that was watching was Lauren.
And
So
because I'm a dummy and I had it the wrong time.
Yes. Somebody was invited, but he ghosted me. So it's all good. It's cool. But yeah, no, I mean, so it was like almost like more personal, because it was just the ladies and myself and then Lauren watching. But yeah, and like we did it at the Veterans Memorial in White House, which was cool, and it was kind of a rainy, kind of somber day. So it was just, it was a moment that I'll always remember, and I'm grateful to the Quilts of Valor and their organization for the stuff that they're doing. And those ladies are very, very nice ladies, and they're their story and their organization is important as well, and kind of why they started doing what they're doing, and that they continue doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I would say like one of the other highlights of the evening would have been Major Ed. I mean, I think he killed it. Like,
Yeah.
we had so much going on, we had to kind of limit him, and then we get to the end, and Dave, mentioned like he had so much more to say,
Yeah.
and I think everybody wouldn't have minded
Right.
if he had kept
Ed,
going.
Ed's amazing. We've done multiple events together where we've spoken together, and it's always the same but different. And he's so passionate about it. I'm so glad he could make it, and people could hear that gift that he has. and
I've seen him
experience.
speak 3 different times, I think, and every time he's in tears, and it's authentic and it's real, and he loves doing what he's doing.
And we love a good storyteller.
Yeah, I would say the GoPro. I think it's
Yeah,
dying.
well, that's fine.
Saying on the phone.
I only got one cue. Give me a second.
But I would.
Real professional operation. We're on here.
Hey, we're
Hey,
learning.
you gotta
It's
start
all right.
somewhere. Just
So,
wait.
Big skinny thumbs, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for me, this was our 3rd year doing it. In our 1st year, we purposely limited it to 65, and we had it at the Maumee Bay Brewing Company downtown because we weren't even sure we could pull off an operation like that because we're extremely small. So
We weren't sure that 65 people would want to show up.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, honestly.
The whole idea came about so Cleveland and Cincinnati both they put on Veteran Reward Banquet, but Toledo doesn't, and we were just looking for a way to incorporate all the people we work with to really highlight who we are, and in conversations just kind of transgress to that. So going from that first one 3 years ago to over 200 people, all like we knew almost everybody there individually and personally. So that's probably my favorite part of this year is we had so many people there and we knew all of them, which
Yeah, for one reason or another, they've been like the Task Force 20 family just keeps getting bigger.
right.
And all differently intertwined, and like you said, like there's the Remax table and the Danbury table. Like, hey, I know these people. I know from all these different things that, and thus the Task Force 20 family gets bigger. And it's kind of cool to see that happen and see it kind of grow incrementally.
And what was your favorite part, Matt?
I guess, like what you were saying, like for you being there, would you see your sons and all that kind of stuff? But the blanket part probably was my favorite, not for me, but for my mom. Because my mom was my date for this one, because my son's playing football, and he's a senior, and we're trying not to miss any of his things, so my wife went to the game, so I took my mom, and that part, moms like hearing about their son's things, and that was pretty neat, because then I went over there, and I just put the blanket around her and stuff, and that part,
Oh, did you?
yeah,
I didn't
Yeah,
it
see
was
that.
a little self thing, and she was just, she loved it. It was
I'm
been
getting teary right now.
Yeah.
Come on.
so we had, we've had a year. It's just been a little tough in the family, and doing something for her. And originally it was kind of funny because I mentioned her going, and then Jason's like, hey man, I know you really want to go see your son's game, and if you do, we're all about family here, so why don't you go to the game? And I'm like, oh yeah, and I kind of forgot that I invited my mom. I said something to my sister, and she goes, she bought a dress. That means I'm bringing my mom.
Oh man.
Because I kind of, in the mix of things, I kind of forgot about that part. I was like, nope. So then my sister and her husband got to come to the banquet, and my other sister and her husband came for the after party. So this is the one I've shared the most with, like, the rest of my family. It's mostly been Carrie and I, and like you
And
said,
the
it's
kids,
been getting
yeah.
kind of smaller, and we just keep growing and trying to get more involved. But selfishly, that was my best part. It's just a moment for me and my mom, and that one that was great.
Yeah, you and your mom dancing. That might have been one of my favorite moments.
We had
too.
a little-
It's
we had a good time
it's-
out there.
Yeah, it's just so cool to see. Yeah, I mean, you and your mom probably haven't danced together since your wedding. You know what I'm saying?
With the other, we're a Italian family. There's a lot of
Okay.
there's a lot of getting down.
Gotcha.
Trust me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So Pat, are you still there? Or did you fall asleep?
He is old.
So what was your favorite part of the banquet?
I think my most favorite part was just watching Olivia get her quilt and everything, and just carrying on that tradition that we have and everything, a service to the country. It was really cool, and it was nice that Jamie was there, and of course her soon-to-be other half Henry and everything, just to share in that overall family experience and everything. That's along the lines of what Matt and everything also said, being able to incorporate family and bringing them into the situation. So,
And everything.
Yeah, and everything.
and everything.
And so Tiffany, like, you came on in the spring, a few months before the banquet. So a lot of the planning and everything was already done, and you didn't have an opportunity to attend the previous two. So now that you're as integral of a part of Task Force 20, and you've seen the banquet, and now you know what we're talking about with the banquet, I guess, what are your takeaways from it?
You kept saying, wait till you come to the banquet, wait till you see the banquet. And I'm like, diamond, because I've been to hundreds of events because of the space that I've been in for more than half my life. And so I was always like, yeah, wait till I see the banquet, wait till I come to the banquet. But it was more than what I imagined. I've been to many different events like that in the craziest of venues with the craziest silent auctions. I've seen, I wouldn't say it all, but probably pretty close. I don't really have a favorite part of just being there. For me, my journey started as an Army wife. That was my intention, was to be a wife. And then when Andy was injured, it was to take care of my husband. And, unfortunately, we all know that now I'm his widow. But that doesn't mean that my passion for veterans has changed. If anything, that's how I continue to love Andy every single day. So to be a part of this organization and to see Task Force 20 in its full glory at the banquet, to see the amount of people, it's one thing to hear that people support us and to see it on paper, but to physically, tangibly, and with my own eyes see the people that came out to support the mission that I am now fortunate enough to be a part of was really special for me. And also, I guess if I were to have a favorite part outside of that, and realizing the gravity of what I've gotten myself into in a good way, was when I was able to give Stephanie and Doug the award, because they have done so much for my family and families like mine. And when you're the recipient of such kindness, there really is no way to say thank you, but to be the one who presented them with such a significant award, that's my favorite part of the night, because I'll never be able to really truly say thank you. And it's really a beautiful award. So
You know what I heard? She thought I was talking shit. That's what I heard.
no.
Jason's just talking shit.
He does.
It's just another
He's been
banquet.
known to do such a thing. But I mean, that's so funny story, because like when we were doing our first banquet, like I was like, first of all, this is gonna be dumb. You know what I mean? There's no way we're gonna be able to pull this off. And then like after our first banquet, I was like, how did that just happen? You know what I mean? Like how it was really cool.
I think that's one of the really neat things that we do, and I'm glad we started doing it, is, we always say there's, especially what's going on in this epidemic of, like suicide and PTSD, and that there's no answer. But when we sit there and we look at other people and see what they're doing and saying, hey, this was a great job you did, and we want to recognize that. Giving recognition to someone else, is powerful. It's like what you said, you received so much more from what you did internally. That's what keeps, like, that banquet being a highlight for me, is the fact that you see the people and their eyes wide open and going like, he's like, why are you looking at me? I just tried to do something nice. And we're like, well, why are you looking at us? We're just trying to do something nice. And the more people that keep doing that, it's just a feeling that people keep gravitating towards. And the more people that do that, the more people that get helped. And it's just a neat part.
I agree. Also, too, when you were thinking, I thought about the memorial and that. Another thing Jason kept saying, wait till you see the memorial, wait till you see that. He said he had sent me the plans and talked about it, and I hadn't actually seen it with my own two eyes. It's really, there's something special about being able to watch people take in what the memorial represents, because I can't speak for anyone else in the room, but I would venture to guess, as a veteran, you are on the inside of something as people are watching you be part of that. The same can be said about being the gold star. So to see people who may have a connection, may not have a connection, either way, when they're in the memorial, they're a part of it.
Right.
You see like
They're
a
in
light
it. They're
bulb
in
go
it.
off.
I mean, they're
And
they're in the mirrors. They're in the memorial.
Please explain the mirrors for the people who don't know what we're talking about, because that, to me, the way it was explained at the banquet, was so powerful.
So I'll start from the very beginning because I know you guys weren't around, but the original idea actually started with Dave.
I'm an idea man.
Dave's the idea guy.
I mean, I forgot I
However,
had the idea, but you know, we'll roll with it.
So the way it all started, we
That is true.
True.
Yeah, true story, Pat.
So the way it all came about at our 5K in 2022, we brought in the Veterans and Athletes United Memorial, which is a giant flag with all the dog tags of individuals that passed in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's like 7,100, and we paid money to bring that in, and it was a huge hit. But when we started talking, well, how can we do something bigger? Like, are we ever going to be able to outdo that? Like, why would anybody come back? And so we started talking, and Dave threw out the idea, well, why don't we put flags throughout the downtown White House field representing every service member that's taken their own lives. And then we researched it, and we found that was 30,177 flags. And that is a logistical nightmare, but it's also a lot of money, and we'd be putting flags out for days. So then it transformed into the mirror idea, and then we found out how much each individual mirror was going to cost, and both of those mirrors were over $1,000 a piece. I mean, this memorial was not cheap in any way. But then Dave also mentioned when we got into that, well, that number is going to change every single year, so we need a number that is always going to stay the same. And so that's how we landed on the 2 and the 0. And then the stands, those can be updated every single year with the new information, because we know every single year it's going to continue. And then of course the battlefield cross, I explained, but the mirrors, the intent with that was we really wanted individuals to stop at this memorial and think on what they could be doing to help stem the tide of veteran suicide. So that's where the mirror idea came in. Like, we want them to reflect upon their own actions and what they are doing, but also it's very symbolic as well, because every single one of those 30,177 individuals on the outside, those closest to them probably never even knew that they were struggling. They looked just like every single viewer of that memorial on the outside. And if you take a look at the famous celebrities and stuff, Robin Williams, nobody knew that he was suicidal in the moment. Maybe some of those extremely close to him, but on the outside, you would have never known. So, the mirrors, really, if you stop and you read the description of the memorial and then you just look, like, it almost pulls you in. We got them bronzed for like a nostalgic feel, so it's almost like you're looking in the past, and if you know individuals that have taken their own lives, it kind of, it ended up being a lot more powerful than even I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You gotta agree.
Special.
Mm-hmm.
But, all right, so
All right, light
with
up
that,
the day.
yeah.
Go.
What's next?
Yeah.
The Navy
Moving on.
birthday. So you said your son's in the Navy.
He is?
Now, is he planning on partying like he's a Marine on the Navy birthday?
When's the Navy birthday?
October 13th.
I should know this. Unfortunately, he will be deployed on October. I think he leaves October 5th on his next deployment, so I'm not sure that he'll be partying. He'll certainly be doing his job.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Navy birthday, unfortunately Joel's not here, or else we'd razz him a little bit, but
Chances are he's gonna be eating good and having cake on Navy's birthday. Her son.
oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I thought you meant Joel.
Yeah, usually the branches they go big.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the chow and stuff will be there. The food will be good. They'll have the big old birthday cake and everything. And usually they have like the oldest person and the youngest person like cut the cake and stuff. I know that. That was a Marine Corps thing for sure, but the Army started doing that too. I know they did that with, like, when we were deployed, they would find, like, the oldest soldier on the base and the youngest they would do, and they would cut the cake together. So.
You never forget about that celebration. They usually always do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I know
I never
in
really
other
knew
years
that.
when he's not deployed, they've had balls.
Yeah.
And they've done that, and yeah, he and his wife do that.
I've never gone to an army one.
No?
Well, you were in the army for like 3 days, man.
When I was there, I was in Iraq.
Right, yeah.
They didn't really
Not a
care
lot of
then,
not a lot
but-
of balls going on in Iraq. I mean,
Oh.
you went to basic, you trained for Iraq, you went to Iraq, and you came back, and yeah.
So the recruiter said that was going to be way more fun.
He said there's gonna be balls in Iraq.
Right.
Celebrations, Dave.
Yeah, so my bad. Celebration.
This month's episode is brought to you in part by Forever in Bloom by Jamie Tusco, your artificial and solo wood florist. Call Jamie at 419-551-3183 for your home decor, bridal bouquets, and special occasion needs.
But yeah, I got a cousin. He actually just got out of the Navy, full medical retirement.
Oh,
So,
wow.
congratulations to him. Sorry that his body's broken, but I know he didn't want to do it anymore anyway. So,
Everything
Yeah.
happens for a reason, man.
so you mentioned your son. He's going to be deployed. So October 26th, you should celebrate him for Day of the Deployed.
We'll do that.
Apparently that's a national day of the
I didn't know that
deployed.
was a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me either.
So yeah, so we're all supposed to stop and
Good to know.
recognize those. So
Tie up some yellow ribbons.
There you go.
yeah, we had our National Guard units that just came back, the Army National Guard, not the Air Force, Matt. They just all came back from Iraq and Syria. So hats off to them for doing their job for a year over there. I hate that we're still sending people over there. I could have swore we've pulled out like 4 times now, but I don't know.
Just the last couple of years, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then of course Halloween. So what are you gonna be for Halloween, Matt?
Have you thought of it? And put me on the spot there, bro.
Chump. I know Dave's got his already planned.
I do, but I can't say it. I can't say it.
Is it a couple's costume?
With
your
kind
wife?
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, kind
Kind
of?
of, yeah. It's
She's not gonna know what hit her.
No, it's just more. It's more than her and I.
Oh.
Because we do like we do a neighborhood garage crawl,
Yeah.
and we do.
I live in the neighborhood. I
Yeah,
know.
but I'm sorry, like in my immediate neighborhood.
yeah.
yeah. So like, so this year the theme is board games. So I will be dressed as somebody from a board game.
Oh, are you gonna have a monocle?
Not that board game.
Oh.
Yeah. But if I said what board game, it would give. Away
Oh,
the
I
secret.
won't.
Yeah,
So,
Okay.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you
Keep the
guys
surprise
after.
alive.
I can
Yeah,
tell you
after.
after the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's gonna be hilarious. First of all.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. So
No doubt.
I can actually.
So Pat, what are you gonna be?
Usually we spend the evening passing out candy in the driveway, and my always throw to costume is a Hershey bar, and I take one of my old state trooper hats and I make it a big Hershey's kiss with a little ribbon, and I wear that and pass candy out. So
Nice.
we only do pixie sticks at the Tusco household because they're not our kids and they have the most amount of sugar.
That's right.
So you're that vindictive.
It's got that good dextrose too. They're good for after a workout because that dextrose is good for your muscles immediately following a workout.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, we got to keep this show somewhat healthy.
Saying.
You know, we are a fitness org.
That's what I do. That's what I do. I'm all about the dextrose.
What are you gonna be?
One sexy 43-year-old.
Man, you're getting old, man.
I know. I feel it too.
No, you look at. Oh,
I don't know. I can honestly. I think the last time I've even done anything on Halloween was when Soph was like 8 and with them. They weren't even living in this house. Last time I did anything on Halloween. It's just I don't know. That's like more of a family type thing. So a lot of families do things together, and obviously I
yeah. You
have
can-
been both
I mean,
blessed and cursed to
But
not
when,
have.
but when my kids trick or treated, you always trick or treated with
Yeah.
us. It's just been a long
But
time.
now
so
they don't
really do it.
anymore,
Yeah.
so-
Right.
I don't know. I may or may not have started seeing somebody, and they have kids. So
There
I'm
you
just
go.
waiting for that invite.
Oh wow, it's
so
podcast official.
There we
It's
go.
podcast official.
Oh, mic drop.
pretty sure she doesn't listen to this. So
We're gonna make
you
sure
know,
she does.
Yeah.
You know, she's gonna drop that invite. Please make it soon, 'cause I don't have a costume.
Yeah. Don't worry, they sell those Oompa Loompa costumes.
Are you
till the
always
right
so
day.
subtle?
Yes.
Yeah, that's just, yeah.
Was that land like a brick or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Subtlety and humility are Jason's strong suits.
Yeah. I'm the most humble narcissist you'll ever
There
meet.
you go.
In a good way.
That's right.
So what are you gonna be?
Actually, I was looking at an Ursula costume, like Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not
It's got
like
an
Saint Ursula.
No, it's like, yeah, that would be weird. It's like inflatable on the bottom, and then, yeah, I think I might do it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's kind of expensive, but I'm worth it.
Yeah.
So what happens in the Stephanie house for
Well,
Halloween?
we
You
have
give out
grandkids
king
now.
size.
Really?
You
we
don't?
have-
Oh.
No,
I picked her as
because
a king
we
size
leave a
house.
bowl. I know you're not supposed to do this, but we leave a big bowl of candy on the porch because we've got grandkids in Sylvania, grandkids in Maumee,
Right.
so we're
Going
running
to
back and
spend-
forth
spend the
to
time with them, yeah.
get pictures, see everybody.
Yep.
And,
So what do you put in the bowls? And where do you live?
Yeah, don't do that in this neighborhood. I
Yeah.
did that one year, a giant cauldron.
Yeah.
It was like literally 12 huge Costco bags of candy.
Mhm.
Someone who shall remain nameless, he's a service member now, but when he was a kid, boy, was he a handful. Him and his friends came and dumped all the candy in their pillowcases.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you want? Is it?
Boys will be boys.
That's,
Yeah.
that's just efficiency.
That's right.
No,
That's
no.
right. Time to go home.
I'm good.
Yeah, everybody. See now, okay, now this might be a controversial take, right? I feel like getting Costco's in Northwest Ohio is kind of ruined trick or treating, because you're just getting pretty much the same candy from every house. They've got like the chocolate
Touche.
mix, and then they've got like the non-chocolate mix, but like pretty much everybody buys those mixes. So like the days of like the Tootsie Rolls and like all kinds of other like.
Did you say Tootsie?
I do. I like saying Tootsie. There's two O's in it. I'm gonna pronounce it like that.
Touche.
But yeah, it's just like it's like all those kind of rare, kind of off the wall candies that,
Right.
that you might not have liked or whatever, but it was still kind of like part of like coming home and separating it all and stuff like
Right.
that I remember doing as a kid. Now it's like you know what you're getting because everybody's buying the same mix from Costco. So I feel like it's kind of like taking a little bit of air out of the sales of the poor kids these days.
Right.
Let me ask you, where did you buy your candy
That's
last
what,
year?
last year we bought it at Costco, and I'm telling you, it's not going to happen again. I vow it will not. And don't tell. I mean, Lauren will probably buy it from Costco, but I won't have anything to do with it. I'm going to buy some Tootsie Rolls for them kids, and they're.
Oh my god, say it one more time,
Yeah.
we're getting measured.
We're gonna get our house
Tootsie
egg later
mission
because.
to re-diversify.
Can you
candy
believe
mix
that bum was giving out
for
Tootsie
Halloween.
Rolls?
Oh my god.
You know, Pat's giving out free suckers, so.
Right.
Watch out. Watch out.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember going around the circle and Shady Natty.
Mhm.
Like, I don't even remember what kind of cheap candy we got.
There was always one trailer in the back that gave out the full size candy bars. I always remember. I always remember that one.
I think I know why they were in her trailer.
Yeah, right?
Spending all the money
Yeah.
on
Well,
the
I mean, it
candy.
was one of the nicer trailers, but
Oh, double wide.
yep.
I think I know what you're
But
talking
yeah.
about.
So hey, Waterville kids, you're getting good candy this year. Tootsie Rolls.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that covers Halloween. So one of the things we've done the past few episodes, because I was peer pressured, and somebody wanted to know what a veteran thought of a specific movie, we started doing movie reviews and getting military affiliated opinions on what they felt about the movies. And at the last podcast, put Joel on the spot, and he asked for Hacksaw Ridge, and then didn't come to the podcast where we were going to talk about Hacksaw Ridge.
Well
So,
done, Joel.
however, hopefully everybody here at least attempted to watch it. So, Matt, movie
I'm gonna
review.
go first.
Dave.
I'll
There we go.
gladly go first.
There we go.
So, Hacksaw Ridge, love the story, love the whole Desmond Doss thing. My favorite part of the movie was, I mean, probably my favorite part of Band of Brothers too, but like my favorite part of the movie is at the end when it's, you know, Desmond actually telling the story. I think that's always the coolest to hear. I love hearing those old World War II vets. But yeah, so I thought that Mel Gibson was a bit gratuitous when it came to bodies flying through the air. I thought he was really a fan of that. So there was plenty of just bodies just like tumbling through the air for no reason.
Have you seen Braveheart, for God's sake?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, absolutely.
What about
Yep.
the Jesus
This
movie?
is Mel
Yeah.
Gibson. He
Yeah,
has
I don't
one.
know, I don't know how many
one
people were
thing.
flying through there in the Jesus in
It was graphic,
Passion
yeah.
of the Christ.
It
It was
was
graphic.
graphic.
Yeah, it absolutely
It
was
was.
graphic. Tom Garfield, no, Andrew Garfield.
I don't know.
He's my
actor
second
names.
favorite Spider-Man. Accent was all over the place.
Yeah.
Right.
Getting an English fella, like and that's like so like the English fella, like they can do the American accent, but like the Southern American accent, they have a hard time with the Southern American accent. I don't know what it is. Sometimes he was from the South, sometimes he was a little bit more Northern, sometimes he was a little English. It's cool. I mean,
I can tell you've been holding on to
very
this
good
all
Spider-Man.
day. waiting
Very
for
good
this.
Well,
Spider-Man.
you knew it was coming
But
in
and
the
not only
group
that,
chat.
but so like, and I watch, but like, what branch was Doss in? Did it say?
I don't think it did.
I don't think it did either. Because like, he was at Fort Jackson for training, which is obviously an Army base, but then the Pacific Theater was almost entirely Marine Corps.
Right.
So I mean, so that was I don't know I don't know enough about Desmond Doss's story, but and there was no like branch specific insignia on anything either. But cool story, very cool. Like what he want, that he knew that he had to play his part.
Army.
Okay, and his faith dictated what part he was going to play, and he just had to basically get everybody else in line with that.
Right.
And the fact that the just one more, that was just
That was a cool
yeah,
scene,
that's
yeah.
like one of the most moving parts in any military movie was.
Just chilling.
So,
Definitely was.
Siskel and Ebert, 5 stars. What do you got?
Well, how did we do it last time? We did like a authentic, or I can't remember either. I mean, it is an entertaining movie. I'll give it 3.8.
Oh, okay, that's higher than
yeah.
I thought you were gonna go.
I mean, I don't know. I just get nitpicky. So with I get very nitpicky with military movies.
I think
That's why I don't
most
I
vets
don't
do.
watch
Oh, yeah.
like Iraq, Afghanistan movies. I don't do it because I lived it and I don't want to see it again. But like, so like some of the older stuff I don't know a ton about. I read a lot about them, but like it's just not. But yeah, no, 3.8. I liked it. I mean I would probably watch it again in 10 to 15 years. But no sooner.
All right, Matt?
See, I think that one, every different vet, depending on what they did, tears apart different things.
Right.
I think we,
Sorry, starting again.
Oh, sorry, Siri. Thank you for joining us, Siri.
and the more the hook is, it tends to draw my eye away from what's kind
Right.
of goofy
Yeah.
about it. Like even, we were talking about the Top Gun movie at work the other day, and us airplane mechanics or, the aviators just tear it apart. I can't do that. But certain movies, they pull you in,
Right.
and you just maybe look past that or don't see that.
Right.
And that's one of them that I think I did. And I just like the story of him being a, how do we script this word, conscientious objector.
Yep.
Did I say it right?
Contributor.
Yeah.
He calls himself a conscientious contributor.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it,
Yeah.
because you're doing something,
Mhm.
and everybody, and you're always not the strongest, you're always not the fastest, you're always not the best shooter or anything like that, and him being a medic and just saying, I'm going to do this and do it on a unbelievable way.
This is the part that the
It
Lord
was
wants
just,
me to play in.
it was
this.
phenomenal.
Mhm.
So the story there sucked me in, and I really enjoyed that part. And then the feat of just taking that hill,
Oh, yeah.
was
Oh, the ridge.
was unreal. Like that you would have to do that, and especially like when I look at some of those, or I hear the stories of the Army and the Marines, especially, and what they had to do. Like I always feel what I do is just so not even close in comparison. I sit on a hunk of concrete and turn a wrench,
Right.
and then that's what I do.
Right.
And seeing what it would have taken, the heroism, the just unbelievable courage to do that.
And a lot of them didn't volunteer for it. We volunteered for it. A lot of
Yeah.
them, they were drafted.
Yeah, it was great. I give that one like at least a 4.6 out of 5.
Wow.
As far as
Wow.
movies, just because of how much I was watching it, and I didn't really see anything. I felt more than I saw, in that picture. It was
All
it was
right.
a powerful movie.
Pat, did you get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, I did. And once I got, to be honest, once I got past Vince Vaughn trying to get it going.
Yes, that was so bad.
Vince Vaughn was my favorite part. Vince Vaughn saved that movie for me.
I was just like, okay.
Vince Vaughn or Desmond Doss?
No, Mr. Dawson,
Oh.
and I think it was really true to his story. For me, I really was impressed that his dad went to the Journal and everything and got the letter
Mm-hmm.
that kept him from getting court-martialed and everything, which I thought was really interesting. But I really enjoyed the ending where they had the interview with him and talking and how he did what he did and why he did what he did. And I just don't think would you have that nowadays versus
Oh, 16?
how it was back then, and the reasoning why he went. I'm not going to have other people fight my fight.
Right.
I did like that, Mark.
Yeah, and while I was watching it, I had that feeling. I'm like, gosh, I just don't know if the people nowadays, the majority of the people, because they always talk about the what is it, the 3% or whatever that choose to serve their country. Would you have that?
Absolutely, you would.
With
They
the-
say that about every
the people
generation.
nowadays?
They say that about every generation, and every generation steps up.
Yeah. But, and on the thumbs up or downs ratings, I don't know, I give it 4 popcorn buckets.
No.
He's making up his own.
I like it.
His own thing.
You do you out there in Bryan or Defiance or wherever Jason says you're from.
Yeah, Indiana East.
That's right.
Yeah, for me, I would say like the one thing that really stood out is that it's very similar to 4th of July, or Born on the 4th of July, right? Where it starts out when they're kids, right? If I remember correctly. And I couldn't help but think, like when I was a kid, I didn't play like G.I. Joes and stuff. Like my go-to like toys were He-Man. So it's kind of like they focus on like kids, and you had 2 children that went into active duty.
Mm-hmm.
When they were kids, were they playing like GI Joes and stuff like
No.
that? Like,
Not at
so
all.
I don't know if that. What about you guys?
I mean, I remember watching the cartoon, the G.I. Joe cartoon, but
we're
I
not.
was more of a Smurfs and Tootsie Rolls kind of kid,
But
Tootsie
I mean, you
Roll, I
guys weren't out in the
remember.
forest like pretending to be.
Well, I mean, we
soldiers.
were out there shooting each other with BB guns, but we were teenagers at that point. I mean, we weren't. I don't know. But yeah, no, it wasn't. I didn't. But I do remember having GI Joes
Right.
and watching the cartoon and the Cobra Commander and whatnot.
'Cause that was my first thought. Was it harkened back to Born on the 4th of July? Like they both start with like these individuals. They just knew from a very young age that they were going to grow up and join the military, and I don't think that's true for the vast majority of children. I know I didn't even consider it until you went. I'm not doing that. It sounds stupid.
It was.
Yeah, I was absolutely right.
No.
So yeah, I mean that's really the big thing that stood out to me is like, is that something in cinema that they're really trying to promote or push? Like, that most military, they grow up wanting to be military. I don't know. Full disclosure, I lost interest about halfway through, and I started.
Because that's when Vince Vaughn started losing screen time about halfway through. Like if they're not putting Vince Vaughn on the screen, I don't want no part of
You
it.
might be onto something.
I'm telling you.
So yeah, I watched the first half intently and with purpose, and then it just I don't know, it trailed off, and
I guess
I am who I am. Don't judge me.
it's a lot of those. Like if I catch it on TV and it's at the first half, I'll probably not sit down. But if I catch it the second half, I won't move.
Mhm.
You know, so it's
I
like
gave up too early. That's what you're saying.
yeah. In this movie's case, probably. Sometimes that build up, they got to build something up, right? You can't have. I know the movies that are all war. They just like my wife almost walked out of Saving Private Ryan
Really?
because she couldn't take it. It was just too much killing and too much action and stuff, and she hated that movie because of that. So I think it was a movie.
Mhm.
I think they do that for the build up, and they do that for to have people have connections, so then they'll stay with the war scenes.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah,
of
that's. I mean, Saving
us war guys.
Private Ryan is pretty much a war scene.
The whole thing.
With dialogue intermixed in, but whereas this was a whole Full Metal Jacket and stuff. Like there's a lot before it even goes to war.
I think I'd go with 2.5. Like I did not expect to come with the lowest, you know, star rating. But I think I might be saved because Tiffany, you had a very unique experience.
I feel like the rain cloud of the group, but okay.
No,
So,
it matters.
I tend to shy away from military movies because they're difficult for me to watch, especially current conflicts. And just coincidentally, last night was my husband's unit's 20th reunion. 20 years since they deployed it was Andy's second deployment, but their first as unit. And so I came home after that, which was emotional, and then was like, I have to watch this movie. And I was home alone last night because 2 of my kids were at college and my youngest was at her dad's. And I was like, great, this is going to be a fun night. And it didn't go very well for me. I watched the whole thing, but I didn't sleep last night because it was like a chain reaction of things. You know, it was a totally different conflict in a manner that doesn't really happen nowadays. And I'm aware of that, but it was just jarring for me. And then, of course, as a survivor, I related to the girl that he fell in love with, who then became his wife, and how he almost stood her up. Well, he did stand her up at the altar because he was sticking with his convictions, which was so admirable.
You probably wouldn't have said that if you were on the other side of the aisle at that point.
But I would have probably actually.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know till you're there. But,
Right.
and then at the end, I was really emotional watching him speak because I know a lot of Medal of Honor recipients, and I don't know, it was just like a real connection for me. But yeah, I didn't sleep last night. I think it was a great movie for the most part. I'd probably give it a 3, and it wasn't as bad as when I had watched Restrepo.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah.
That really did a number on me. I thought I was having a nervous breakdown. I actually cried for like hours and just was.
Never seen.
I wouldn't encourage it. It's like you're in war, in the moment. You're there with them, and I had never seen anything like that. And it was, I don't know. It was not very. It was like about at the midway point of my loss, and then actually I just met his uncle at an event last year. But yeah. So I'm gone off on a tangent. I give it a 3. It's difficult to watch war movies if you're a veteran, and then also if you're on this side of war. And but I did it because I wanted to be able to contribute.
No.
So in the future, you can say, hey, that's probably going to be a little too much for me. I don't think I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I think
nobody's going to get mad at you.
I know that. I know. And I think that's the great thing about this organization. I want everyone to know that. I think it wouldn't have been as bad if I wasn't on the heels of...
Right.
Like, I sat... Okay, I'm just... Can I have 2 minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Take you 2.
So,
Have 5.
I've known about this event. They've been trying to plan it for like 3 years, and I've always been included in everything, which a lot of Gold Stars don't have the same experience, but I'm very fortunate I do. And so, you know, I've known this is coming, and but when it got down to yesterday, I sat in the silence in my bedroom, fully dressed, ready to go for 3 hours, like just trying to get the oomph to get up and to get in the car. So I showed up very late, and it was pretty overwhelming at first. I'm a very positive person. I have a great life, a beautiful life, but there's, you know, this was difficult. But I did it, and I was okay. And then on the drive home, I was sitting in my car, and all of a sudden, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I just thought to myself, everybody looks so much older. And I know that. Like, I'm looking older. I see people individually, they're looking older. But to be in a room full of people that I knew when they were younger, it was like so hard for me because I wanted to watch Andy's hair turn gray, and I wanted to see the wrinkles on his face, and, you know, but I'm fine now. But it was just like one of those moments, I'm sure you guys have that as veterans, where something happens and you're just like, whoa, wait a minute, you know, and it takes you back. It took me back to that 23-year-old girl. Like, I was so sad and just like beside myself. I'm fine now, and I'm glad it happened, and I'm looking forward to the next one. I think I'll do better.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I think I would have been great if I hadn't had that event the same night, but that's because I'm a procrastinator. I knew I needed to watch this movie before last night, so
Done it a few weeks
can't
ago.
blame anyone but myself, you know.
Yep.
But Stephanie, what do you think of the movie?
Yeah, well, I'm with you. As a military mom, I typically don't choose to watch those types of things, but we have this thing that happens at our house where, I don't love to watch TV. I prefer to read or be playing on my iPad or whatever, but I want to be with my husband, and he likes to watch TV, so he picks the movies usually, and then literally every time within 20 minutes he's asleep.
Love it.
And 20 minutes is just long enough to get sucked into something, so instead of changing the channel, I'm now sucked into this movie, which I didn't want to watch. And so all the things, like, when he's pulling the bodies out, amazing. I thought, some of the scenery and all that kind of stuff was incredible.
Right.
I thought it was really interesting. I guess I was maybe trying to overanalyze so I didn't have to think about all of it, but, he's there trying to help them understand why he feels the way he does and why he can't hold a gun. And they're there trying to convince him that he's crazy and he needs to and blah, blah, blah. And of course he never does, but you can see them as they start to listen to him and are they buying into what he's saying and starting to question why they're there, which in my head I'm thinking, wow, that's a really dangerous thing.
Right.
That, he's getting in their heads and they're starting to wonder, is he right? Is he onto something? And should we be over here doing what we're doing and killing people? And, their thing was, well, killing's not murder if it's in war.
Right.
But you could kind of see them processing that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I was just kind of trying to think about what that would be like to be one of you in battle and having a guy next to you not be full in. He's not all the way in. And that just kind of struck me.
Right.
Like, I can't even imagine what that's like.
Well,
But then he proved that he was all the
Right.
way in, more
Yeah.
in than most of
Yeah,
them.
But-
those.
But to watch those guys
Right.
and
Yeah.
then wonder if they're going to be all in.
Right.
And that was the part that stuck out to me, like, wow, that had to be a really tough dynamic while they were all processing through this. So,
I feel like a lot of veterans that are trying to process that after the fact now, a lot of that is what leads up to a lot of the feelings and emotions that are causing problems, is not necessarily processing through them at the time, but burying them and then
Right.
having to, being forced to process them later on.
we'll see how I brought that all back to Task
Yeah,
Force
see
20.
that? I like that. See that?
Excellent.
Yeah, we come full circle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's one of like the most deepest things you've ever said. So I think our listeners should probably write that down
Yeah,
because
most deepest.
it.
Tootsie.
You're right.
Get you right in the tootsie
You know,
roll.
it's processing after the fact is dangerous. In a lot of
It's much
ways.
more
It's-
difficult. I mean,
and-
it really is.
I had a conversation recently with somebody, and she didn't serve, but she had comments. And one of the things she said, well, my brother was, over in Afghanistan twice, and he doesn't have any problems, and basically alluding that PTSD might not be real. And he looked at me, and at that point, I couldn't just let it go. And I was like, you have to understand, not everybody, we're not all the same, right? And some of us have problems detaching from what we had to do over there. And so when they bring it home, it wasn't just I had to do what I had to do to come home. They start thinking about a whole host of different things. And I don't know that I convinced her that she was wildly wrong with what she was saying. But, what you just said, I think, ties into that. Like, when you come back, if you try to process it when you're back and not in the moment, you think a lot.
And not only that, but you're not surrounded with the people to process it with. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're trying to process it alone or with the feelings that you're surrounded by people that wouldn't understand anyways.
Right. So, yeah, that was very
Mhm.
heavy, and I don't think you
It was-
realized it when you were saying it.
it was the
That
most deepest, yeah.
the most deepest thing he's
Yeah,
ever said.
I like it.
That's
Anthony Wayne education there, boy.
So, all right. So, with that, how many stars would you recommend?
I guess more because it was a true story,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
loved hearing him at the end. So I don't know, maybe 4. But again, I really don't want to watch it.
So
Again,
I'm
Right,
I
on
don't
yeah,
know.
absolutely.
I'm the guy who didn't like it.
I was also impressed by the pulley system to get down off the ridge. How he was
Oh,
getting
yeah.
people down off
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And every time I was like, "Don't fall!"
Yeah, from the physics.
Yeah.
All right. So next month we'll be talking about November. So
Veterans Day.
You wanted this to be democratic.
Where do we go? We gotta
Veterans
switch
Day,
con-
World War II. Yeah,
we just did. I mean, this was World War II. Do we switch conflicts? Do we switch theaters?
I don't know.
Do we go with the miniseries? Do we just do Band of Brothers? Or we could go to Vietnam. We Were Soldiers. We haven't done We Were Soldiers yet.
That's true.
You
Do we
think
wanna
have
go
you
with-
seen Have you seen We Were Soldiers?
Ooh, I don't know that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't know that.
It's
Yeah.
Mel Gibson.
I don't think since I was young.
Yeah.
I'll give it a go.
They focus on the wives and stuff a lot in
Mm.
that movie, and kind of
So if it's too much.
right. Yeah.
I'll stop.
Yeah, but it's like a big support group of the wives and stuff. So I mean, that's a story that needs to be told also,
Yeah.
obviously.
Agreed.
But yeah, let's stick with Mel Gibson, huh? Yeah.
Is it very graphic like all his other movies?
I think that, but see, because there's so much.
It was so graphic
right.
last night.
There's so there's a ton. I don't think he directed We Were Soldiers. He just stars in it.
Oh,
So
okay,
yeah.
okay.
And it's based off of.
Well, if he directs
true
it, it's
story.
gonna be
It's-
cool.
yeah, this is
We Were
also
Soldiers
it's another
Once and
true
Young,
story. Yeah,
the book.
but it's a very good. It's a very good story. But they get into the training a lot. They get into the build up a lot, and then they get into what's going on in the home front a lot. So I mean, yeah, like the actual battle is just like this one small part of the entire picture. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
a good one.
we'll do that. We Were Soldiers.
That's right.
Sounds great.
So, final thoughts. We'll start not with Matt. Tiffany.
I'm just happy to be here. I'm so thankful to be a part of this mission. There's only 2 organizations I work with, Folds of Honor and Task Force 20. That being said, I'm so glad that Stephanie's here. Thank you for coming. And who's next?
So, final thoughts. You can say anything in the world.
Oh, thanks for letting me be here tonight. Thanks for the award. Thanks for letting us into your world. Super impressed with what you guys are doing, and it's just nice to be a little part of that.
Thank you. Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming. Thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do. It is appreciated. It definitely is. Yeah. So final thoughts for me. I think this one next month I might try to go with the book instead of the movie. See how that goes. No. Well, and,
We Were Soldiers
yeah,
Once and Young.
I haven't read that yet, so maybe we'll do that. And then maybe I'll enjoy everybody's favorite chocolate taffy-like candy while I'm reading my
Tootsie
book.
Rolls?
Tootsie Rolls. Everybody loves Tootsie Rolls, right? But yeah, it was look for some more small events that we've got coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun.
If you want to
sure.
put the memorial out at your place of
Yeah,
business.
absolutely, the memorial. Yeah, so yeah, get a hold of us. Check us out on our socials and whatnot. But yeah, thank you very much, Tootsie Roll.
The latest sponsor of Task Force 20.
Right.
Great.
Just kidding.
Don't
Still
tell
waiting.
Spangler. Don't tell Spangler.
Still waiting on that check.
Yeah. No, I thank you. You know, you had some very great stories and perspective of different things. I know also on Monday where I'll be visiting to sell another Task Force 20 hat. I'll have to go down to the egress shop and sell one to
Yeah,
Joel.
that's
They
right.
are in my office, Joel, if you need me to work before I get there. So that was great. It was a neat connection. But no, just another good episode, another good guest, another good outreach of our org, because that's what we keep doing. You know, the together piece I think is my favorite part, because I think that's our most impactful. We go around and just get it out. Next thing you know, we have a new friend, and our friends got more friends, and that's how we'll grow and help more people.
Yeah, and for me, as always, thank all of you for taking time out to support this mission, be a part of this mission. Thank you, Tiffany, for confirming that I am not just talking shit when I'm talking about our events. We do them differently, and it's because we're a team of service members from all the branches. We talk this stuff out, and we purposely want to do things that make a difference for vets.
And Lauren Gedman can plan
Yes.
that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She's pretty good.
A
Yeah.
team of service members and 1 civilian.
So-
That's a female.
You know, this might be the one of only 2 events that I get yelled at by her.
No, yeah.
Oh, wow.
She must have been busy.
It's one of
No,
my
you're-
favorite things to
you're
do
getting
is
better.
yell at me.
Yeah.
You're getting better. But yeah, it means a lot to me to have so many people come out and enjoy themselves and recognize not only what we're doing, but what Home of the Brave is doing. And Steve McCarroll, our Veteran of the Year, and Allison Ryder, the Civilian of the Year, and all the amazing things that other groups are doing. Like, we know what we do, but it's important to us to focus on everybody else too, because the way we're going to solve this is together.
Absolutely.
Stronger
And with that,
together.
thank you.
Howdy, howdy.
I just want to thank you all for listening. We are Task Force 20, and we are honoring those who didn't come home by trying to take care of those who did.
If you are or know a struggling veteran, please take down the Veteran Crisis Hotline number, 1-800-273-8255. Reach out to your people and don't be scared to ask for help. If someone crosses your mind, text, call, or email them and let them know. You just might save a life.
We train together, we compete together, and we survive together.
Until next time.